He fell in love with the city. As soon as he comes here, you see, he writes a letter to his father and his sister that you see, on the way he found that people of on the way the scene changes, you see, gradually, and he finds that Benares is more enchanting than Calcutta. And then when he lands here, then immediately he makes friends around, and all through his life, you know, he was very popular with his colleagues and also with the native population here, and he was a great favorite of the Pandits and of the learned in India. See the details in this map. Practically every house has been shown, and the Benares of that time, you can see, is full of ponds and lakes and gardens. It is a tragedy that we have lost all that today.
Anyone who is born in Benares and dies in Benares gets final salvation. Maybe he did nothing, because Shiva himself presides over. He says that this city is above the earth. On my trident, and I give final salvation. So that is a belief. I don't say you have to believe it, but these are the old philosophies and religious thoughts that came up. Benares, as far as the religion is concerned, there is a difference in the Christianity, Islam. It's a fixed religion. You have to believe what is said. You can't question it. God is one, and you can't say there is another part of it. No. But here and you don't ask questions. It's called blasphemy. You don't ask questions about religion. But here it is reverse. In Hinduism, you must ask questions. If you don't ask questions, you are no good. That every mind is different. So concept of God is different in every person. Might be you feel there is only one universal God. There are others who say no, there are hundreds of gods. So it's all accepted. It is your choice which you want. In that, it is a very tolerant and good religion.
The mint building was already there, but it was very ordinary, I mean very ordinary looking, and James, in that money which was allotted for the mint building, he sort of redesigned and improved that, refurbished the entire building. I mean, he was very restless with his hands and with his mind. Whenever he came across something incomplete or not up to the mark or not beautiful to look at, he would set himself to do that, and that is what he did first with the mint building. Then he started on the map, the actual census of this. This is the first, it is said to be the first authentic census of any city in Asia at that time.
So many Akash Gangas and so many stars, so many planets, all are moving on the will of the God. Somebody, we say he is God. And our thinkers say the Brahma. The Brahma and God is different. We believe in Shiva, we believe in Vishnu, we believe in Durga, and believe in so many gods and goddesses. But the supreme power is Brahma. And the realization of Brahma is the aim and theme of Hinduism. But a very funny thing is here, our Puranas say that those people who live in Kashi, they don't have to so much practice for moksha. they can, if they die here, they can be very well get salvation from the cycle of the birth and death. So we are very much lucky. We are living here in Varanasi. We have nothing to. We have to not to go in so many tapasyas and tap and worship and so many other things. Only living in this city is enough. And if we die here, we will get moksha from salvation from the cycle of the life and death. So we are happy that we are here.
The writings of James Prinsep himself, it's obvious. The first thing that came to me is that this man fell deeply in love with this city. This city kind of became his muse. He always referred in his maps to Mother Ganga. He refers to Ma Ganga. And there is an element here that people don't talk about because people don't know, and sometimes it's better not to talk about it, but there is an element here, and that's the spiritual energy of this place. Sort of unnameable, unknown factor is nothing but the powerful energy of all the saints who have been practicing for thousands of years, doing these intense spiritual practices, which pulls in pure energy from the cosmos into their body and then disseminates it, all around the city.
So we are tolerant, we accept everything. I can go to a Vishnu temple, I can go to a Shiva temple, I can go to a Buddhist and Jain temple and fold my hands. But I can even go to mosque. You see, we can accept Islam or Christianity as such, but reverse is not true. Reverse is not true. So that is the history of religions here. We are very happy with Shiva as our Lord. He is called this Lord of Benares and also the Lord of universe, because he is above all gods. Many stories are there to prove that. But if you go in mythology and stories, there will be no end to it. But truth is that you have seen Shiva. It's an oblong sphere. That's the universe. Don't you see the universe is oblong like that? So that is what we are worshipping. Unfortunately, it's also some Pandit, wise man said it is phallic worship. I don't think. There is a power like this and there is a power like this. That is Shiva, the eternal energy. If you want to learn anything about Hinduism, you have to study Upanishads. Upanishads are the real early philosophy, which there is one Upanishad called Question Upanishad, Prashna Upanishad, which says to the disciple, ask questions. If you don't ask questions, get out. Disbelieve. Don't accept what I say. Ask questions, discuss it, and then you can come to some conclusion. I think it's very, very wonderful. %75 water, 25% earth. This spark of fire, and mind is the sky. So all the elements are there in it. They are quite reasonable. You can't deny their theories. 5 elements, and there are whole groups which worship all these 5 elements only. They don't worship any god. So whole thing has changed. The worst thing that has changed to my mind is that we want more, everything more. If I got a radio, I like to have a television. It's a black and white, then I want a colored one. If it is small, then I want a big one or even a room size television. Now it is coming 3D television. I don't know there is no end to desires. If you eat this, then I'll need that. Now you are not happy even with the maximum. Happiness in minimum against unhappiness in maximum. That is the change. Alpa me sukh, we say. In minimum there is happiness. And there is today have more. That is the slogan, have more. So there is no end to more. If I have got this house, I would like to have a palace. If I have got a palace, then I would like to have a city as a whole. So there is no end to desires. They are like birds, fly, fly, fly.
James worked in what is called the Mandir here. Now, Mandir is one of the oldest, or rather the oldest building in the banks of the Ganga, and it was one of Akbar's courtiers who built that building. And in that building, which can be seen even today, there is this observatory. These consists of structures for determining astronomical calculations. That is, you can trace the movements of planets, the sun, the moon, and I think no other country has such structures, such astronomical structures. James goes there, and then he takes the help of these structures and determines the latitude and the longitude. When he took up a project, he wrote an article, and you have articles on the instruments that he made to measure the rainfall, determine the rate of evaporation of water, and fantastic thing was that he fashioned these instruments also. He fabricated these instruments, and you get the drawings in his articles, evaporometer, pluviometer, all that he did himself and set them up. Hearts today, you take a boat and travel up the river, then you find a big mosque built by Aurangzeb. Now these mosques, this mosque had 4 minarets, and river used to flow by the mosque, and the minarets had become weak, and there was a fear that if the minarets fell down, then many of the people bathing in the river would be injured. So what James did was he takes down these minarets, probably stone by stone, and then strengthens the foundation and then rebuilds, reconstructs. Drainage system was laid over houses 5 stories high. Now, when he laid down the drainage system, the year following, the people of the city found that the roads were dry even during the rains, because all that water had been drained off. So out of gratitude for James, they gave him a big piece of land. And what he did was he built a bazaar on this land and gave it back to the citizens of India. I have not seen another character like James in entire history of mankind. And he gives it back. There is not a single piece of work that he has done it for himself. It's always for the service of the people, and always with the consideration of persons in mind. That if one were to make a catalogue of all the architectural works that James took up in Benares, of roads, of bridges, so it says it will only exhaust the reader, he will only get bored.
The cremation ground, Manikarnika, it's just astounding. I just love to go there and just sit sometimes and just watch, because if you just think about it, it gives you goosebumps. Here you're looking at a place where for at least 8, because they mention the Manikarnika in the Vedas. So the Vedas, maybe 8000 BC now with carbon dating and all that. So 10,000 years. So there you find that the fire has not died down. You see, there is always 365 days a year, round the clock, 24/7. 365 days a year for 10,000 years. And of course, if you acknowledge the fact that the Vedas were handed down by word of mouth for thousands of years before then, so maybe 20,000 years, maybe 30, maybe 50,000 years, maybe 100,000 years, who knows. But here's a place where the fire has never been extinguished. The presence of the sacredness of death as a teacher. That's again the beauty of Indian philosophy, to treat death as a teacher, Mahakal. And the word for time and death is the same, because time swallows everything. That's why Kali, the goddess of time, is also the goddess of death, and her mouth is open, because time swallows everything into itself. So we actually realize that life is transient, and it's for a limited time. It's a great piece of knowledge that guides us like a compass throughout our life. Then we won't worry about accumulating material possessions beyond our needs, living with exaggerated needs. We won't get into so many of the lawsuits that we get into, fighting over property and perishable things. James Prinsep, so this spiritual energy, and James Prinsep is not the only one. I know of some people, some Westerners who came here to Benares, and they were changed forever. Their consciousness changed.
धन के